going to bring over all the heartache and pain of your friends and family and the people that did you wrong and your boss that's so mean, the only person that's going to bring over that nonsense to this new era is you. So if it's time for a new thing, for a new year, we got to leave some of our old stuff behind. Because as I spend time with God, I'm starting to understand who God is. I'm starting to understand who I am. And now I know I'm in a new place. I'm on the other side. I'm understanding that with my new place comes a new thing. So with my new place and my new thing, God, what is the new instructions for my life? And that's where we're going to be at Matthew 15 and 21. 21 says, then Jesus went out from there and departed to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came from that region and cried out to him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, son of David. My daughter is severely demon-possessed. But he answered her not a word. My God. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, send her away, for she cries after us. But he answered and said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Then she came and worshiped him and said, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, is it not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs? Today I want to talk to you about you got to work this blessing. I know it's not grammatically correct, and I'm supposed to say stuff like, there comes a time when you're going to have to exert more energy in order to fulfill the blessing. But the more simple layman terms is, you got to work this blessing. That in reading already the story, I know y'all waiting for the hook because you're like, certainly this is not the Jesus that I know. We like the version of Jesus where they just come to him and say, Lord, heal me, and he heals me. We like the version of God that says, God, you're going to do exceedingly abundantly above all that I shall ask or think, and all I have to do is sit on the couch and wait for it. We like the version of God that says, you're going to move mountains and cause walls to fall, and all we got to do is just sit back and relax. And that's not the type of God that we actually serve. God says, the only thing I did for you that was free was I died, but now you got to work this blessing. Understand this, even the process that we have today, God died for our sins, but what? Everybody not making it to heaven. Why? Because they did not ask for forgiveness. Why? You got to work the death of Christ. You got to go and say, Lord, you're my God, and Lord, I will serve you, and I repent from all my sins. You got to do some work in order to get the type of blessings that you really want in return. That God says, what are you willing to do to get the blessings that I have for you? You got to work for this thing. Because God puts a demand on his people, and the demand is that we have to put forth our effort in order to manifest the things that God really wants for our lives. The Bible even talks about he will give seed to the sower. You know, so just think about that. God will give seed to the sower. He doesn't say give seed to the person who is seedless. I'll give seed to the person in need. He says, no, I want to find the person that is already doing something, already planting seeds, already doing the work of ministry. And then to the worker, I will give him more work. The Bible is so amazing because we talk about seed time and harvest, and we like that harvest. Oh, God, hallelujah. But harvest was the hardest part of their jobs. Why? Now that they have a blessing out there, they got to do work. Now I got to work. Some of us, we praying that our family members will get pregnant. You know, we're like, oh, God, I pray for that couple. They say they want to have a baby. God, do it for them. And God will do it for them. And now that you got pregnant, now it's time to put in work. I got 3 of them. It's time to put in work. We went to the hospital. It was just 4 of us. We came back home. It's 5 of us. Now it's more work. Thank God, oh, healthy baby, yay, Jesus. And God said, okay, now that the baby healthy, you ready to work. God, don't take my baby in her sleep. He said, don't worry, I'll allow her to wake up. It's just going to be 2 a.m. I ain't tell you that part. Because you have to put in work to get the manifestations of the true blessings. You have to be tedious at this thing. You have to work this thing. You got to go in and put in work. And there's other types of work, and that's also what we got to talk about in our story. Go to verse 21. I want them, put it up on the screen. We got to make sure that we see this. So back in our story, it starts off by saying Jesus and his disciples are now on a journey. The difference is it tells us where he went. He went to Tyre and Sidon, and this is a different place in the whole Gospels. This is the only time they go to this type of city, because otherwise, or normally you would see Jesus departed from the multitude. That's the way the Bible reads. There's a group of people, the multitude, and now Jesus is departing. There's even a part where it says Jesus got on the boat and says, can the Son of Man just lay his head down? Why? Jesus is like, I'm tired of dealing with these people. Church was out 3 hours ago. I want to go home. Jesus got on the boat to get away from them, and what they do, they got on smaller boats and chased them. So now he had to be Jesus all over again. Because everywhere he went, they knew it. Everywhere he went, there was always this multitude. Remember, he had to feed the 5 loaves of bread. Why he need all that bread? Because people keep chasing him. Jesus is tired, so now he chooses a new destination. He says, instead of going to one of our local areas where we're going to hang out with the Jews and the people that I called my chosen generation, I'm going to go to a foreign place. Don't tell me God won't visit you wherever you are. God will find a way to make it over there by your block. I know you don't come from the status quo and you're not like everyone else, but God says, I'm going to go out of my way to be Jesus to somebody else. So it tells us Jesus is now in a foreign place with foreign people. And then just to add on to it, in verse 22 it says, then a Canaanite woman finds him. Why you keep telling me these details? Like dealing with Pastor Val, she's been telling us that, remember, hello from the other side and all that good stuff. Well, remember, they were going to the promised land, the land of Canaan. God told them, take this land, kill those Canaanites. They not my people, kill them all. They of the devil. And now we find all the way in the New Testament, a woman from the place that God told his people to destroy. She is a Canaanite. She is of the lineage that was holding back God's people. And now, how does this woman find Jesus when he's on his vacay? Jesus is like, I'm on vacation, in this foreign woman from a different place who is not my Jew, who is not my chosen generation, finds me. And not only does she find Jesus, but in verse 22 it says that she had to talk to him. She said, oh Lord, Son of David, my daughter is severely demon possessed. This woman wasn't raised in church. She didn't know God like that. Her mama and daddy and all them didn't serve God, but something must have happened. How in the world does she have an idea who God is? It says that she's a Canaanite woman, which means that long ago, when the children of Israel took the land, one of her ancestors must have escaped. And when they escaped, they said, I don't know who that God is and those people that follow God, but we better keep an eye on them. Because you find out later and later and later and later, here's a woman who somehow knows something about God. Because when she sees Jesus, she says, this is my way in. But check it out, the way that she comes to him. She says, oh Lord, Son of David. The Bible is so specific at times because it's trying to tell you this is the greeting that a standard Jewish person would greet the Lord. One of Jesus's chosen people. Oh Lord, Son of David, because they were really into that lineage. Yeah, you know, you got to know where Jesus come from. So she came in fronting. She did. She was faking it. Really, she was. I know all my scholars going to say, man of God, the woman is fronting. She faking it. She know good and well that ain't how she's supposed to talk to Jesus. What happened was she had heard somebody else, so she knows that's the way other people greet Jesus. So because it's working for other people, let me just try and do what is not natural to me and do what they do. That's why some of us walking around with prayer shawls and can't get a prayer through. Why? Because I'm doing it because I saw somebody else do it, and I'm trying to get in like they get in. And when you pray, you lay out on the floor over there. So I'm going to do that, but it's unnatural to me. Why? Because I don't even know what's behind it. She just saying some stuff that she heard one time a long time ago. So because she comes in incorrectly trying to be somebody else, Jesus ignores her. Oh, I know that ain't the Jesus you like. I'm talking about Jesus. Is that what look, have mercy on me, oh Lord, son of David. Then she try and give him an issue that she figures Jesus would respond to. Oh, my daughter is demon possessed. She comes trying to talk like a Jew. This is how they would greet you. Oh, son of David, we got demons in the house. God, do it for me. Come on, go with me. Go. Verse 22, God says nothing to her. I don't know what version is your Bible, but mine says that he ignores her. Go to 23. I just want to make sure I'm right. But he answered her not a word. Okay, I'm just making sure. What in the world are you going to do when God starts to ignore you? Because when God starts to ignore us, we say, oh, I must be doing the wrong thing, and we jump ship and abandon. What are you going to do? Are you willing to work the process? Are you willing to stay in the fire when they turn it on? What you got to understand is that the three little Hebrew boys, they said, we're going into the fire, and either we're going to die for Jesus or Jesus is going to save us. They knew there was no turning back. Jesus tells us, what in the world are you going to do when I start to ignore you? Because he's ignoring her because she's trying to fake it out. She don't know what she's talking about. She don't know what she's saying. He like, you know what? I ain't got time for this. Check this out. So after she's ignored by Jesus, then his disciples starts making fun of her. You can't tolerate two people rolling their eyes at you in church. Oh, I'm going to another church. I'm getting out of here. They don't show no love. I can't believe they said this. This is Jesus Christ ignoring a woman with a legit issue. Then the disciples of Jesus Christ talking about her saying, Lord, send her away. Are you willing to work this thing called God? Are you willing to work this Christian experience? Are you willing to be ignored by God but still stay standing? Are you willing for other people to talk about you and make fun of the way that you do things and still be standing? Can people just say shoot and you just leave? Oh, they don't got no love. Are you resilient in this fight? Are you willing to work this blessing? Because the woman had an understanding that through Jesus she was going to get a fix, and she wasn't letting nobody stop her. You got to work this thing. Do you know how much easier her life would have been to say, Lord, you will be like that, I'm out. The Bible talks about a rich man that came to Jesus. Oh, Lord, what I got to do? He said, sell your stuff and follow me. He's like, all right, holla at you. That man's life was made much easier by ignoring God. Hear me. He does not sell his stuff, which means he gets to keep all his stuff. He gets to keep his regular life. He gets to keep being exactly who he was, and it was probably very easy, very simple for him. Can you imagine if one of the disciples, but the disciples on the other end, they said, oh, we're going to follow you, God, and they were persecuted, tormented, talked about. Remember, the reason Jesus moves around so much isn't just because he wants to be Jesus to everybody. As you read the Bible, spend time with God, it says, then they came to attack him, so they fled. And then they was over there, and he fled back. Actually, even before this chapter, it says the way Jesus was teaching was making people mad. He said, it's not what you eat that defiles a man. It's what you believe in. It's what's in your heart. It says that the disciples went to him and said, Lord, do you know how upset you've made the officials? Jesus said, I don't care about making anybody upset. It's about God. And then he goes on vacay. stir some mess up, and then Jesus out like, all right. Are you willing to be ignored by God? Has God told you something that you're willing to hold on to no matter what? Are you willing to be talked about by other people? Because that's why I said it takes some work in this thing. It's a much easier life to abandon. It's an easy life to treat you the way you just treat me when you don't treat me right. It's a very easy work ethic for me just to say, you know what? I don't owe these people nothing. I ain't gonna do nothing for nobody. Boom, boom, boom. That sounds pretty simple. Your life just gonna be that. But now me as the Christian who really wants a blessing from loving my neighbor means I gotta come in, and when you throw those fiery darts at me and you talk all that nonsense and they throwing shade this way and that way that it looks like it's an eclipse, I still gotta say, but I'm happy to see you. God is with you. You blessed. I love y'all. See you next week. It's a hard thing. Why? Because they just ignoring you and they just talking about you. She thinks she saw that. She just thinks she's so blessed. And you like, I kind of do think I'm blessed. And God did kind of tell me I am all that. It's all right though. I'm going to still bless you as you bless me. Why? Because you got to work this thing. It takes some effort to be a Christian. It takes effort to be the child of God. This ain't no easy road. You got to wake up in the morning and desire this thing. You got to fight through heartache and pain. Say, I'm going to make this marriage work. I'm going to make these kids responsible. You can't be no soft person in no church. Talking about, oh, you go to church, that's all you do. Oh, I wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and high places. I do what I gotta do to get God's work done. I ain't no chump. I'm willing to work this blessing. It's a blessing in the word of God, and if you're willing to work it, God says, I got something for you. But I gotta work this thing. I was trying to spend time with God. I'm trying to let God talk to me. I'm trying to work this thing. I'm trying to work this thing. Because after he is ignored, she gets ignored. She gets talked about. You ready for the triple threat? Some of us will give people 2 strikes, but 3, man. Verse 24. This is Jesus. My Bible in red. I was not sent except to the Israelites. He specifically, that's why this book was written this way. He told you he was in a foreign land. They told you where Shia came from. And then Jesus responds and says, I'm not here for people like you. He said, this ain't your turn. I'm not here for you. This not, I'm here for, I was sent for the Israelites. You ain't those type of people. That's what Jesus says. Now, you can debate it because the same story is in Mark, and some people says maybe he wasn't responding to her, but he was responding to the disciples because the disciples said, send her away. We don't want to deal with her. Maybe Jesus added on. He like, I wasn't sent here for her anyway. I mean, I ain't told her to stay. Can you take being ignored by God, being talked about by people, and then almost being a little insulted? God tells you, I'm not here for you. Man, what you mean? This Elder Corey blessing. I mean, but Lord, what about? Oh no, I'm here for Steph. But you here for? I mean, but the woman is wise enough because she says, I'm willing to work this blessing. Willing to go through some things to fight my way to find out about you, Jesus. Jesus and talks about her because he says, I wasn't sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But then she came and worshiped him. So after 3 strikes, what does she do? She changes the way she approaches God. Oh, this woman, oh, she won. See, when you're willing to work it, you got to have new strategies and new ideas. That's why Pastor Val said a new type of thing for a new type of place, a new type of year. I got to work this thing. She like, all right, he ignored me when I first talked to him and stuff like this. So then she changes her whole approach. She says, Lord, help me. Listen, I don't care who your daddy is, God. I don't know about son of David and demons. Listen, help me. I know that much. You are the Lord and you need to help me. That's all I need to know in this thing called Christ is help me. But you ain't got the right book. I know I don't have the right book. God, help me. She says, help me. She's not talking about that daughter no more, huh, is she? Why? Because she's like, I'm in need, and then God helping me is going to bless that daughter. See, some of us are bringing too many of our direct issues to God. God fix her, and God fix him, and God said, that's not the problem. I need to help you out. You're the one who got an issue. You're the one who got a low tolerance for nonsense. You're the one that don't get along with females. And you're the one that keep talking this and that. And, oh, I see the way you got all these ghost followers. No, you got the problem. So she says, you know what? God, help me. Just help me. In helping me, if it fixes my daughter, I'll be all right. But any way you bless me, I'm over here complaining, God paid this bill, and God said, it ain't the bill, that's the problem. You need help. Because his fix may be the bill, his fix may be more income, but if you just sit back and let God help you. But as you see, it took her a little while to understand that. She's like, this guy ain't paying no attention to me. What I'm doing to God is not getting through. Why? Because I'm trying to fake it. I'm just saying what other people saying. I read your status, but when I see you, you like, oh, I'm blessed, highly favored. You like, no, you're not. You was just cussing out. You're trying to act like them. That's why God is ignoring you. Because if you just came to God the way you are. Now, some of us do know how to pray, and we've studied. I'm not knocking a prayer shawl. It is an effective way, but with my understanding, I'm getting my prayers through. You praying laid out on the floor and you getting your prayers through. Got it. But if you just don't know, instead of faking it, just say, Lord, help me. Because she says, Lord, help me. And now she gets a response out of Jesus. What he say? Oh, now he looks up at her and gives her one last jab. He says, is it good for me to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs at the table? I told you I'm not here for you. I said I had a blessing for Elder Corey and Elder Stephanie. I got their blessings right now. And I'm like, Lord, help me. And God says, it's not your time yet, Stephen. Should I take what I have waiting for somebody else and give it to you? Because Jesus says, I have riches in heaven. I have, I'll pour people out a blessing that they may not have room enough to receive. So God says, I got the blessings, I got the treasure, but there are other people who are unwilling to work it. So it just lies dormant. So now Jesus is thinking, he says, should I really take what I have waiting for the children of Israel and give it to this Canaanite woman? She's not my people. She's not from our culture. She's not the status quo. She doesn't wear her church clothes. She doesn't know how to talk. She doesn't even know how to sit like a lady. She doesn't even know how to approach Jesus Christ. Should I take the blessings I have for all these saved people, but they're unwilling to work it, and give it to the person who is here and unwavering in their faith? Because now you start understanding that it wasn't that Jesus was ignoring her, but more that Jesus was testing her. He said, what if I don't say nothing to you? You gonna keep praying? Lord, they talking about me. I ain't come to save you anyway. But he looking over his shoulder saying, is she still praying? Is she still out there? Lord, help me. I don't know if I should help you because I got this for somebody else. Reminds me of that first miracle story. Remember Jesus there? And Mary says, oh, Lord, they run out of wine. And Jesus say, it's not my time. What you want me to do? But if you can just show God a little bit of your faith, that you're willing to work it, you're willing to be made a fool out of. Because Mary goes and now spreads the word. Hey, all of y'all, whatever Jesus say do. She starts working her faith. Why? Because Jesus actually gave her the cold shoulder. He said, I ain't got no time for this. But she says, I'm willing to work this thing. I'm willing to embarrass myself in front of a few people. Hey, God is going to do something, because nothing had told her God would. And she's out there saying, this is going to work it. Why? Because I'm willing for y'all to talk about me. I'm willing for y'all to roll your eyes at me, because now she tells them, go get those water jugs of water. And people say, but the water should have been over there. Mary, you sure we need to move this? Mary, what do you think that's happening? And she's ignoring all the nonsense and saying, I got to work this thing called faith, because I know that there's a blessing in it. So she ignores all the naysayers and says, I'm willing to work it. I'm willing to embarrass myself. I'm willing for Jesus to give me the cold shoulder at times. And she says, God is going to do it. And now Jesus does one of the first miracles ever recorded. It sounds like the same formula, because the woman is unwavering. And when Jesus says, should I take a blessing held up for other people and give it to you? Come on, where we at? 27. And she said, this is a little feisty girl. That's how I know. That's how I know she was kind of a sister. I don't know how many people go toe to toe with Jesus for that long. Should I take it and give it to the dogs? But Lord, even the dogs get a few of the crumbs if it's at the table. What she was saying is, God, I didn't say take their blessings, but in your blessing of them, I just want a little bit to trickle on me. That's why I love coming to church. Why? Because it may not be my time for my blessing, but if God is willing to bless you, I may be able to just get a little bit of your crumbs, and God is going to give you a new car. Let me just get a little bit of your crumbs. I'm willing, God, to give whatever you're willing to give me. You don't even have to bless me directly. Bless my neighbor, and I just want to be by them, God. Bless my family just so I can be in the number, God. Bless my friends just so I can go over their house, God. Bless somebody around me. She says, God, I ain't even really in it for all that blessing stuff. Just give me whatever you got. Because if I was a dog and I was in the room, I still get a little bit of something. That's why it's a blessing in pressing your way out to the house of God. I'm not trying to get in trouble when Pastor Val gonna knock me out, but our online streaming is to reach hundreds and thousands. But if you 15 minutes away and you wake up and it's just a bad hair day and you streaming, I don't know what crumbs we got for you. You're not where the feeding going. Because if you just there in your house by yourself, then God got the blessing for you. But what if it ain't your turn then? I'm just saying, if you nearby and you say, instead of pressing my way out and working this thing called faith in God, I'm just going to chill to the heck of chilling. God looking at you like, that ain't really what I made that service for. Now, if your wife just had a baby and she been home for a month, she could stream for a while. I think that's all right. But she says, God, even if I just get the crumbs of your blessing. And that's the place that in this new year, I'm trying to break my own barriers and understand that God, even if it's not Stephen's turn, can you just help me? Maybe that I just received something. She had pressed her way out. She had found God. If you read the version in Mark, it says when they had retired because Jesus wanted to rest with the disciples, Mark says that they had found a house and was staying in the house, which lets me know, how in the world did this woman find them? There was not a multitude. She was willing to seek out God. Seek him out. Fight him out. Now she finds them. She has this banter with them. And yes, Lord, even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from the master's table. 28. Then Jesus answered and said to her, "O woman." With my old school people, sookie, nah. You cool? All right. "O woman, great is your faith. Jesus wasn't even talking to her. She moved up from Jesus not talking to me to almost being insulted, but guess what? He was talking. God told me it's not my season, but I'm like, oh, but I heard from God. I'm working this thing. I'm working this thing. You sure you're working it? God spoke to you? Yeah. What'd he say? He said, keep on waiting. But why are you dancing? Why? Because I'm working this thing. Because I know if I can just work this thing, and if I just work this thing, and I may end up in a place where blessings are happening. And if I can just work this thing, then I can just get me a little bit of something. I can just work this thing. I can just work my faith and work my time. And it's a lot of pressure that goes into it. When I'm talking about work, listen, work. Oh, come on, work. Listen, if I ever want a healthy marriage, I have to work it. That's something that I don't feel we hear enough, and if we hear enough, I don't listen enough. You got me? Because listen, if you want a marriage like mine, it's going to take you working. Here, I'm about to make all the ladies a house of prayer my friend now. Listen, do you know on an average week, come on, baby, am I right? You get what? You at least get 3 to 4 foot rubs on any given week. 3 to 4. Don't come to me talking about, Elder Steve, we want to be married like you. Well, what's your foot rub game looking like? But I don't want to do all that. You ain't willing to work. I don't want to rub feet either. But guess what? I know it's a blessing in that, because as I move that toe and every now and then I get a little bit of a pop. She say, ooh, and I'm like, oh, that's going to give me some goodies there. You don't like foot? You better learn how to rub a hand and just go in the bathroom. They got all them smell good lotions. Pop out with anything. They don't care. You get an old body, a pear, whatever juice, and you like, look what I got. She like, ooh. Work. Talking about that you want a healthy marriage and a healthy baby. You got to be putting in the work. How many times a week are you cooking dinner? But Elder Steve, I don't like to cook. Well, then you ain't willing to work. You better burn some toast and put some ramen noodles and say, baby, I'm doing my best. Why? Because there's a blessing and work in the process. There's a blessing in it. I'm not trying to front you. If you want something to last, you got to work for it. I just wish my kids behaved and sat in church like yours. You better sit their butt on the pew until they sit like mine. And I'm trying to get mine to sit like them. Why? I got to work it. But my kids next to me, I can't pay attention. Yes, that's the work. How do I pay attention to God while doing that? That's the work. It's nothing. That's the work. It's like, that's the work. That's how it be. Soon as you start talking, y'all grab me, Elder Steve, can you pray for me? I'll be like, oh, I want to pray. Hold on, I'm sorry. My kid's crying now. I'm sorry. Come over here. We can pray over here. Why? Because you gotta work this thing. You want your husband to chop down a tree and build you a house, you better work. What they say, Delilah, how many secrets Delilah get out of that man? She was rubbing his head. He like, I'll tell you everything. I ain't putting up a fight. Tie me up. Tie me up, Delilah. He got the signals crossed. Tie me up. She did it, ain't work. He like, oh yeah, if you rub my feet right there, then yeah, that's my strength. He was telling the woman everything. Gave away all his secrets. Why? Because she was willing to work for it. You're willing to work. You're willing to put in the time. It takes work sustaining from marital relations before you're married. Why? Because it's a blessing in the waiting. It would be so much easier just to knock it out the park and we just do what we do and we just ride out. Well, hey, I got a little bit of money. He got a little bit of money. We just live. I understand. It is simple. But if you want the blessing, Jesus Christ didn't come to condemn the world, which means I'm not condemning you, but he says I'm trying to redeem you. I'm trying to let you know who you are, and you may be missing out because you're doing this an inappropriate way. I'm not talking about you. I'm trying to save you because in honesty, you really want what I got. And the way to get what I got, you got to work. You got to go home to your own house. So then Jesus answered the woman and said, oh, great is your faith. We find out at the end that this has all been a test of faith. Oh, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire. Y'all, I'm wrapping it because in the fight of life, it takes work. Already this year, there have been so many marriages just being attacked. I'm not talking about nicked and just, oh, we just going through a rough. No, I'm talking about attacked. January, praying with people, touching them. And while I'm touching them, I'm saying, pray for me. Why? Because this takes work. Pastor Val said hello from the other side, which means that when I'm in a new place, now I have to find something new. The reason that we go through our strife and our times is because I'm a different person than the person I was last year. Some by design, some by mistake, but I'm different. There was a time my wife and I, man, it'd be nothing. Christmas time, you dropping 400, 500, 600. You like, boom, that's what we do. This is a very different version of Steve because by October, I'm like, listen, I don't need anything, and I'm hoping you feel the same way. Let's start off at 0. Let's see where we go from there. Because you're a different person. What you value is different. What you need is different. So you can't come to God off that same old stuff. So you got to say, honey, I am a different person, and these are my new values. Honey, talk to your children. What is your new focus? Because some of them want to go to school today, but by next month, they're like, you know what? I'm just going to start my own business. What is it I have to do? I have to spend time. I believe my daughter is a smart person, but she's struggling in a few areas. Why? Because I'm unwilling to spend that time with reading and math and science, and until I spend that time that I get that Elder Corey kid and them smart ones and Shannon getting scholarships already in high school. Oh, I want that. Well, it's going to take some work. What are you willing to do for it? My baby to read, my hooked on phonics, and well, my baby not slow. I'm not putting them in that special class. Your baby slow. Get that baby some help. You got to work this thing. Drop her off early before anybody see what class she go to then, if that's what you want to do. But sometimes you got to be in a place where you say, God, help me. And God says, I can help you. I can open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. But are you willing to do some work for the thing? Are you willing to pay your tithes when your bank account is low? Are you willing to show up to Bible study in the middle of my weekend? But God, it's all the way across town. God says, what are you willing to do this work? Are you willing to work on your marriage? Are you willing to work with your children? Are you willing to work this thing? Because if you can work it, Jesus tells her, let it be unto you your desires. The desires that you have. He says, I'm not going to limit it to your daughter because I see the type of faith you have. Because if this was just about your kids, you would have been shut down shop and tried something else. If she was just trying to get a little blessing just to say she got a blessing, she would have been turned around when they started talking about it. But there was something she was in it for. She says, there's a blessing in Jesus. But I gotta be willing. Come on, stand up, people of God.